Okay, so something really big is happening in the world of food, and it looks like it's all going to come to a head in 2026. We're talking about a huge shift in pretty much everything, from what you're paying at the checkout to what's actually written on the labels.
You ever find yourself in the grocery store feeling like you need a magnifying glass and a finance degree just to figure out what to buy? I mean, the prices are all over the place, the labels are more confusing than ever. Well, it turns out those little frustrations aren't just in your head. They're actually symptoms of a much bigger story that's about to break wide open.
We're calling it a perfect storm. And what I mean by that is you've got three massive forces all crashing together at the same time. You've got aggressive new lawsuits, a wave of tough regulations, and, of course, us, the consumers, demanding more transparency. This collision is set to completely reshape the food industry.
So let's start with the first part of this storm, the one that hits you right in the wallet, the fight over pricing. After years of seeing prices go absolutely haywire, regulators are finally starting to ask some very pointed questions.
I mean, you don't have to look any further than the craziness with egg prices. Remember when they shot up to nearly $6 a dozen? It was unbelievable. But then, almost overnight, the bottom completely fell out, and wholesale prices crashed to just 45 cents. A swing that wild? Yeah, that definitely got the Department of Justice's attention. They're basically asking, what in the world is going on here?
And it's not just eggs. The DOJ is taking a really hard look at the meat industry too, because something just doesn't add up. On one hand, the prices that farmers are getting for their animals are staying flat or even going down, but on the other hand, the price we're paying for beef and chicken at the store keeps climbing. So the big question for investigators is, where is all that extra money going?
And trust me, this isn't just a bunch of talk. It's resulting in some massive payouts. The meatpacker JBS just had to pay out $83.5 million to settle a lawsuit from ranchers who accused them of basically rigging the system to keep cattle prices low. It just goes to show you how high the stakes are in these pricing battles.
Okay, so that's the price on the box. Now let's talk about the second front of this storm, which is the battle over what's actually inside the box. There's a whole new wave of lawsuits targeting everything from heavy metals in baby food to those nasty forever chemicals that are in, well, almost everything.
And the key legal tool that's making all of this possible is a concept called economic injury. It's actually pretty simple. Let's say you pay a little extra for a product because the label says it's all natural. If you later find out it's full of artificial stuff, you didn't get what you paid for. You've suffered a loss, an economic injury. It's a really powerful idea, and it's turning out to be a total game changer.
And the courts are totally on board with this. In a really important case about baby food, a federal appeals court basically said, yep, even losing a tiny bit of money because you were misled, that counts as a real injury. That one ruling has thrown the floodgates wide open for all kinds of new lawsuits from consumers.
And if you want to see what a headache this is for companies, just look at this. This is just a quick snapshot of all the different state-level bans on those forever chemicals, or PFS. Colorado is banning them in cookware. Maine is banning them in dental floss. Minnesota's saying you have to report them in every single product. Can you imagine trying to sell something nationally with a crazy quilt of rules like that? It's a nightmare.
The lawyers are getting a lot smarter too. So a judge recently threw out a lawsuit against ultra-processed foods because it was just too vague. But in doing so, she basically, and probably unintentionally, created a perfect blueprint for how to win next time. The new strategy is super clear. First, pick one specific product. Second, show exactly how much of it was eaten and when. And third, bring in the scientists to prove a direct link between that food and a health problem.
Okay, and this all leads us to the final, and maybe the most powerful piece of our perfect storm. The regulators themselves are changing the game. Government agencies are basically tearing up the old playbook and starting a whole new era of much tougher enforcement.
The biggest changes are happening at the FDA. You see, they used to have these ancient, super specific rules for everything, like what exactly counts as milk chocolate. Well, they're throwing all that out. The new approach is basically this. Hey companies, you can be creative, you can innovate, but the responsibility is now 100% on you to prove that your label isn't misleading to a regular person walking down the aisle.
And the pressure isn't just coming from inside the US, it's global. Our neighbors in Canada are about to slap big warning symbols on the front of any food that's high in sugar or salt. The European Union is rolling out these digital product passports so you can scan a product and see its entire environmental footprint. And here at home, the FTC is cracking down hard on everything from bogus Made in USA labels to those annoying hidden fees. The walls are really closing in.
So, we have this perfect storm of pricing fights, lawsuits over ingredients, and a ton of new regulations. The big question is, what does this actually mean for you and me the next time we go to the grocery store?
All right, here's what you need to keep an eye out for. First, don't be surprised if prices, especially for meat, keep bouncing around while these big legal fights get sorted out. Second, you're going to see a lot more lawsuits over specific ingredients and fuzzy words like natural. Third, get ready to see new symbols and QR codes on foods that come from Canada or Europe. And maybe the most important thing to remember is that your power as a consumer is actually growing. The courts are recognizing your right to get exactly what you think you're paying for.
So in the end, it really all boils down to one massive question. Is this whole perfect storm going to result in food that's safer and more honest? Or are all the costs of these legal battles and new regulations just going to be passed down to us, leading to an even higher bill at the checkout? That is the billion-dollar question for 2026.